Is that Polly?
Yes, we're just setting things up here.
Not yours, not yours, go. No, not yours, go.
Good to go?
Yeah.
Town of LaPointe Regular Planning and Zoning Town Plan Commission. January 7th, 2026, 4:30 PM. Call to order, roll call.
Charles Brummer.
Amy Baxter.
Paul Wilharm and
Check.
via Zoom. Public comment, less than 1 minute. Any public comment? Moving on, zoning administrator report, verbal and written.
Okay, so everyone should have a copy in your packet. Quickly, high level, during the month of December, we successfully completed our first annual zoning lessons learned open house on December 10th. The town's building inspector and Ashland County zoning representative were both in attendance and participated and answer questions. We continued an in-depth review of the public comments received on the zoning ordinance rewrite and completed an updated revised draft zoning ordinance document. The draft document was shared with TPC for review on December 30th, so just a week ago. And we'll begin discussion of that document tonight. We completed an in-depth review of permitting activities by month and by project type for all of 2024 and 2025. And that is attached to the monthly report. Really won't spend much time on that, just a couple of sentences. There was a decrease in 2025 in overall dwellings, about 10 or so less this year were started. The accessory structures, it was about 8 or 10 or so fewer, and driveway construction was down a few as well. So those were kind of the major things that I saw between 2024 and 2025. I also conducted 2 site visits and supported permit requests, issued 7 land use permits during the month, and prepared 4 data packages for TPC discussion at the December regular TPC meeting. And then started identifying and preparing grant applications for the town of LaPointe to pursue. I worked with the airport manager, emergency services, police, and fire departments on 2 grant applications that are due in mid-January. One of the grant applications for the replacement terminal at the airport was submitted during December. So the report has several pages that go into more depth on some of those, but those are the highlights for the month.
Nice job, Rich.
Yeah, thank you. Extremely detailed. Approval of previous meeting minutes.
Only thing I'd like to see reworded is J, last page, chapter 205 building code. The second to last sentence where it says too many people are building things out of inferior products using less than good techniques. That makes it sound like we're rampant with shoddy construction around here. I don't think that's the case. Maybe we could rewrite that to say the concern is not to have buildings built out of inferior products and using good building techniques, something along that line. Because I think the way it's worded, it sounds like there's an epidemic of crappy building and everything's going to be falling down. So I don't think that sentence really represents what we talked about last time.
Okay.
Anybody else though? I mean,
No, that sounds
No.
good.
Yeah, which paragraph exactly was that for? Sorry.
J, chapter 205, too many people are building things out of inferior products.
Got it.
I don't think we can say that.
That was a statement right from the UDC inspector, I think.
Was it?
I'll I'll make the changes as appropriate.
Well, if it's a statement from him, it should be quoted as such. Otherwise, it sounds like, that's my own change. I'd like to see that.
Okay.
If no one else has anything else, I'll make a motion to approve the regular TPC meeting minutes of December 3rd, 2025 as corrected.
Second.
A second. Sue Ellen, are you seconding?
I did, yeah, second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Old business, review, discuss, and possibly approve land use permit applications, and I see there's none. So
First,
moving on, zoning ordinance rewrite, status update. And we've got quite a bit of it here.
yeah, I want to thank Paul and Jim and Rich for all the comments and filing the new draft.
It wasn't too bad because we just, deleted some things. Mainly the campers going from 2 to 1 camp.
Mhm. I read it all, a lot of paper.
Yeah, right.
Any other thoughts from anyone on this? There's,
Well, I'm thinking it's a lot to digest because I still had a bunch of stuff in the original that was dated August 27th, 2025, the first draft. Then we had the comments, but I still had some questions. I was just curious if how everyone feels about maybe having another meeting later this month solely to dig into this, because I don't think we can do it justice here tonight unless
and
you guys think otherwise.
And we've still got a few things to tweak.
Right.
So.
I mean, I've been reading it over the weekend. Rich got this to me last Friday, I think it was, after the holidays. So I'm still digesting that, but I still have a bunch of points in here. And with the agenda being one of those, just throwing that out when we get down to scheduling next meetings, maybe that's something we can look at, find out who's got opening in their schedule.
Sure.
Maybe later this month.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
Yeah, fine.
Response letter to property owner regarding complaints received for wedding events at 951 Whitefish Lane. Status update from Rich.
Yeah, we were able to send out the letter, and the property owner reached out to me after receiving the letter, asked for some additional information regarding previous permits, which I provided. And with the holidays, we decided that it would be best to meet early here in January. So at the present time, I'm waiting for a call back and to schedule that meeting to go through that letter. Steve Schroffnagel, who's our town building inspector, has agreed that he's available to participate, as well as Katie, short-term rental administrator. So if I don't hear anything by early next week, I will reach out to him again and move this along.
Perfect. Anyone have any questions on that? Moving on, first annual lessons learned open house, LaPointe Building Inspector and Ashland County Zoning. That was December 10th. So a little summary on that.
Yeah, real quickly. I mean, we had the town building inspector, Steve Schroffnagel, attended, as well as Carisha Flint, representing Ashland County zoning. And we live streamed it. We had invitations that were sent out. I wish the attendance would have been a little bit more in person and online. But this is kind of the first start, so we'll reevaluate next year for our second annual lessons learned and see a better way to get the message out. We did have, and I looked last week, we had almost 40 people online had viewed the recording. So that's good as well. I did hear from the Ashland County zoning administrator who watched it and appreciated the effort that we put into it and to conduct it. It gets our process out there so that there's less issues as we go through the permitting process. So we're going to be looking at, different times of the day, maybe different season, trying to avoid when people can't attend. We are a little bit restricted just because the boat stopped running, 4:30, 5 o'clock. So we're going to look at all these different, the feedback that we did get on it, and hopefully conduct one next year. But the bottom line here is that we had a great hour meeting where we got a lot of the process out to contractors, and they can see it on YouTube.
Before we move on, I'd like to point out Jim Peters has joined us via Zoom. We can make an adjustment to the roll call.
Hi, Jim.
Complaints received, status update, fence in the right of way.
Yeah, so these have been on here now a couple months, and number one, well, there's two things I'm trying to do. There's more than that, but I'm trying to keep you posted on the process and the status of each of them, as well as these do take a significant amount of time, and I would like TPC to be involved in making sure that we're interpreting our requirements and ordinances correctly. These are all in various stages of process. The fence in the right of way, I completed a draft of that today, and we'll be sharing with that shortly after we go through the internal process. So expect to see that before our next meeting.
Perfect. Any questions? Moving on, home business and zoning district R3.
Yeah, and I'll cover the next two kind of in the same breath here is that both of these are in process. I've pulled some of the files that we have, looking for historical data, when permits were issued, what those look like, what process was followed. Both of those are probably, I would say, about the 50% stage at this point, but the goal is to have both of those for your review and concurrence for the next meeting.
Any questions on those? Moving forward, building setback variance, and we have a draft letter.
Right, and so we were able to complete a draft letter of that. It was in your mailbox here today, and I did email it to the team as well. This is something where we had a complaint about
Augie,
a
Augie, come. Quiet.
Sue Ellen, you may want to go on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
Nope, no problem.
In reviewing the letter, which is awesome, the only suggestion I would have would be on the first line here. It says regarding the building, and then in parentheses, garage. I've got, some say it's a garage and some say it's a garage that's gonna be a house. So I'm
Okay.
not sure. So just, maybe,
86 the garage.
yeah, just get rid of the.
Just
Okay.
say the building.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, the intent tonight is to review this letter, and get concurrence from TPC that you're in agreement with what it states. And then if we are in agreement, then I can send it out yet this week.
Any thoughts?
You did, Mom.
Rich, I think the letter's very good. It spells out everything that needs to be addressed. I think you did a very good job, and I think it's a go.
I just picked it up before the meeting, so I haven't had a time to read the entire letter, so I'll probably abstain, but yeah, it's nice.
I was on the road and didn't read the whole. I on the ferry boat, I started reading the email, but
Do we need a vote to send the letter?
That I'm not sure of.
I would say we don't, but that's just my 2 cents.
Great.
Yeah. Moving on. Potential zoning and UDC violations.
Yeah, so the last one on this list, I did coordinate with the property owner right before the holidays, and just a friendly reminder that we would be revisiting it early in 2026. So if I haven't heard anything back by early next week, I will be sending an email following up on this one.
6th Street vacate request process.
Yeah, so this one is still moving forward. I heard from the property owner on December 16th that they have hired a surveyor. They're going to be getting us what is needed to go through that process. We had shared materials in early December of what that looks like and what the surveyor needs to provide, a description. So that's in process. Once we have that, then we can, or once we know the time frame for that, we can lay out a schedule and keep everyone updated.
Perfect. CUP process, discuss online training potential, joint meeting with the town board, which we've had on the agenda for a while. We'll just kind of keep it there.
I think so. I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, with everything else, I'm not ready to probably go any farther until
Yep.
sometime in February or March
Yeah.
right now.
Any thoughts? Okay. Tech memo number 3, next step. I think that kind of follows the CUP one. We'll just kind of keep it there.
Well, and really it also follows the fact that we should be farther along finalizing the
Correct.
zoning rewrite to handle that.
Yeah. So same with the holding tank, and the do I need a permit? We'll just keep it on the agenda, the update and informational permit summary. Any thoughts or comments? Okay, moving on, new business, 2024 versus 2025 permitting summary.
Yeah, and I won't spend a great deal of time on this, but at the back of the monthly administrator report, zoning administrator report, there's a series of that contain a lot of information, more than you've probably ever wanted to see. But table 1 is really a comparison of town of LaPointe permits issued and fees collected for 2024 and 2025. That focuses really on the dollar amounts, and for both the town of LaPointe and Ashland County, the fees collected this year were down. And that's really due to, the number of dwellings, accessory structures, and driveways. This also gives you kind of a picture as to how many permits were issued each month. Again, January, February, the winter months being lower, and then the summer months obviously higher. Table 2 then looks at, so this was a challenge in a way because I was using an Excel database that contained 226 projects over those 2 years, and what they were listed at, the type of project. So I attempted to do a little bit of combining. So this is boiled down into 34 different categories. The only way of getting at the exact number on some of these would be to go through the actual project file for 226 projects over 2 years. After I looked at the data here, I felt comfortable with combining them into 34 and going forward with that. Like I said, it's really dwelling, accessory buildings, and driveways where we did see a decrease. Tables 3 and 4. Table 3 is just project type by month for each of the year. Easy data to pull together. Table 4, town of LaPointe, fees collected by project type by month. And then the exact same thing on tables 5 and 6, except those are for Ashland County. Again, it's project by month comparison by type, and then fees collected. So easy to set up in Excel to do. I'm already setting up 2026 so that we'll be, within minutes, we can have the same data as the month or as the months go by. And the intent going forward, this was 2024 and 2025. I will be including in my monthly report a month by month comparison as we go through 2026.
Perfect.
Rich.
Yeah.
Lot of work.
Did you like statistics in college?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I always had a staff member that I used to work with that we always joke that I was an Excel rock star in the 90s. I may be one in the 2020s too, who knows?
Very thorough.
Regular actuary. Let's see, permit extension process beyond the first extension. And we had a case where this was an issue. And what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, this was just kind of bring to the group. We had an extension to an extension to an extension, maybe. I don't know if it was quite 3. And, we were talking about really the best way to handle that going forward. There's some projects that can drag on for a time period. And, what is the best way to handle that? Is it through increasing the fees that would try to encourage them to get it completed sooner? When you issue the first permit, and it actually states on our permit that you can renew it once for 12 months. So then you start looking at, an extension to an extension to an extension. Is there a way to encourage that that project to be completed sooner? So,
And that's a case where the permit application states that, but nowhere in the ordinance.
correct,
Does it
correct.
state that? So.
Right. So it's something that, while we're going through the rewrite, this is an opportunity for us to address that. And is there a better way of doing it?
Jim?
Well, one thought that we had was that we would allow people to have as many extensions as they want to get their project done. But each time they apply for an extension, the fee is doubled from the previous fee.
Could do it.
What's that, Sue Ellen?
I said that would do it.
Well, it would maybe
Encourage
entice
them.
people to get it done rather than have to pay such
Yeah.
high fees every time they want to renew it.
At some point in time, the extension fee could exceed a brand new permit fee. And, depending upon the scope of the project, but I think that structuring might help people be more motivated to finish what they started. So I would be in favor of that.
And then still leave it at 1 year or explore like a 2-year extension, or do you think 1 year?
Well,
is-
1 year, but
1 year at a
each
time.
time the extension doubles, and I think right now the extension's at what, 75? So,
Right. Well, yeah, you have to charge something for
yeah.
Rich's work, and yeah, I'd be fine with
Your
that.
thoughts, Amy?
Well, I just think it's so much harder here to build than anywhere else that I think most people need extensions unless they're rich and can hire outside contractors to come in and help.
Yeah. Are you okay with structuring it? with
Yeah.
an increase?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right, so I think we've got a game plan moving forward as we do the rewrite.
Right.
So,
And then we can address the fees in the update for 2027.
right, okay.
Good catch.
Okay, zoning ordinance section 13.3 membership, potentially increase the TPC membership from 5 to 7 TPC members, with 2 of those members being non-residents that own property here. And let's talk about that versus keeping it at a membership of 5 with one person being a non-resident that owns property here. So I'll open up floor.
I'll
We've
start
done
then.
seven,
No.
7 before. We had it.
Was
for
it hard to
years.
fill the seats?
No, we didn't. No, we had, we had all kinds of folk. We had Carrie Ann, we had Joan Martin, we had all kinds of people. But
Cause it
what I
seems
found,
like,
what I found was there was more conversation and everything was slower. Nothing got done as fast. And I think we're trying to help people to build and to move in and stuff. So we don't want to drag it on. What does everybody else think?
I'm in favor of keeping it at 5, and I'm old school. I still think membership should be, resident, year-round residents. And I know there's some qualified seasonal residents that probably fit the bill, but I also remember when we allowed the zoning administrator back in the day to take care of all the permits, and the people we had sitting in Rich's chair in those days were really good, but there's no guarantee you're always going to have decent qualified people forever and ever. And I'd just rather see the membership stay at 5 and the membership numbers is composed of year-round residents. That'd be my preference. I just don't see the benefit of going to 7. I mean,
don't either.
otherwise, why don't we go to 9, 15, 21? I mean, it's just, I think 5 is a good number. It always has been. And I've said it before, then why doesn't the state say, okay, 7 members on a town board would be better than 5? Why did they come up with 5? I can keep going, but.
Well,
Jim?
I agree. Jim, what do you think?
Well, I believe that 5 has worked out well in the past and that we continue that. The issue of having one member of our board not be a resident, I think, was implemented by our town board chairman. And I don't really have a big issue with that. I prefer that we would have all residents be members, but in the past, have had some issues with getting new members, and this would open it up to maybe fill that seat if it becomes vacant. So I don't have a real issue with that. It's in the zoning rewrite that way, and I think we can move forward with that.
I think if it's a policy-making group for the island, they ought to be residents of the island, full-time residents who vote there or have it be their primary residence. And I guess you're saying that we're going to change our bylaws to accommodate that, because our bylaws say it has to be a resident.
Well, not really, I think, Sue Ellen, it's not in the bylaws, it's in the zoning ordinance itself, that the bylaws references the zoning ordinance, and in section 13.3, it does say that 5 residents of the town. So we won't have to change the bylaws, but we will have to change the zoning ordinance itself.
What do you think, Amy?
well, I just think I've seen a lot of committees not be able to fill their seats. So I think that 7 is gonna be hard to fill. As for resident or non-resident, I would like preference given to residents, but there are some really intelligent, well-qualified people in our summer resident pool that could be lost if we say no completely to that group.
Yes, I agree. I think there's several people that would be wonderful on the committee. It's the fact that it's strictly resident to me. As Charlie says, I'm old school on that. So
I would like to move it to 7, only from the standpoint that it would allow 3 people in a workshop instead of 2, which I think would be more beneficial.
Yeah, so do you mind if I jump in?
Sure.
I mean, so I like 7 as well. And at least 1, if not 2, people that own property on the island, versus it all being residents. I mean, I'm kind of a case and example where, I mean, I've only lived here for 6 or 7 months, but owned property for 5 years now. And, you know, it would have been something that I would have been interested in from my planning background to be part of it because I saw this as my future home, or a community that was very important to me. So I would have liked to have been part of that and I couldn't be. And so I think having that different viewpoint is very important. When you're looking at 7, and if it were 1 or 2, I mean, you're looking at a maximum of 30% of any policy decision. So it's not a majority opinion of you know, making that decision. If it's 1, you know, you're talking 15%. The other part is, you know, having 7 people, you do get all of the different viewpoints and all of the different perspectives and all of the different resources where we can make educated decisions. And I think I probably see Paul and Jim kind of the most because they're working on the, you know, on the zoning rewrite. Or I know that Paul will stop by during the day to see someone else and I hear his voice. And I move very quickly into the hallway to find him before he leaves because I'll want some sort of input on an issue that I'm working on. And having a couple more people would give us more opportunities to share those viewpoints. So that's why I like 7 and having at least 1, if not 2 property owners, I think would really benefit you know, the viewpoint overall. So you know, just my 2 cents.
Yeah, full-timers versus part-timers, you know, there's the number of properties on the island, you know, I mean, the part-timer property owner is huge compared to the full-time and, you know, very.
Well, I think given the choice, though, I think the part-timers would rather have the ability to vote in elections and stuff than, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's something that's state mandated.
Well, I know, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see this as a way to, you know, should be the only way to appease people. If, you know, you want to get them more involved in stuff. I think, granted, they have plenty of opportunities at public hearings and they can write letters and do all that stuff. But,
Yeah.
you know, I've also heard for many years, taxation without representation from summer residents, because they do pay the lion's share of taxes here.
Well, I think we should just bring it to a vote and then move on. So I would make a motion that we increase it to 7 with 2 being non-residents that own property here. Yeah. Anybody with a second on that?
I'll second.
Discussion?
I guess the only discussion I would add is that I think things are working out well the way they are. I don't think in trying to get 2 more members on the TPC is going to be an easy thing to do, nor is it going to be that beneficial. I think it should be left the way it is.
Me too.
Thanks. Well, to go through the motion, all in favor? Aye.
I'm
Motion fails. And next, we have a short-term rental case study. Nantucket, I found it to be a really interesting read.
I want to thank Dave Elan for bringing this to my attention. I shared it with the rest of the group, and then Rich went a step farther and got a lot of articles on what happened in the last 4 or 5 years since the original article was written, the original paper. So thanks for diving into that, but yeah, I thought it was very eye-opening. Granted, the scale of things over there are a lot different than our island, but I think it speaks volumes to what we're going through here, don't you think?
I found the outcome rather interesting.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, they kind of left it as, right, I mean, we're just renting. They really didn't have any rules in place other than status quo how it was before, right? But reading that, it doesn't sound like they have events tied into their short-term rentals either.
They don't have events tied into it.
Yeah, and that might be another thing.
Yeah.
Without knowing all the facts, I mean, I've got to
Yeah.
put that out there.
Well, it was way more contentious than anything we were going through, and they actually, voted short-term rentals in, which, I mean,
I'm amazed they had over 1,000 people in attendance at their high school
right,
at the hearings.
like 1,300 or something.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you the power of the money with short-term rentals and how, both sides of the aisle want it.
But honestly, they have the same issue here where we don't have hotels, motels. So where are the guests going to have to stay? I mean,
Exactly.
you need short-term rentals just for that.
Yeah.
Except I think they should be commercially taxed, like it says in that article, to
Yeah,
help the infrastructure.
yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah, there's things to.
And or the adding to the fee schedule, a community impact fee for,
Yeah. Well,
so if you don't change it to commercial tax for a VRBO, then add a community impact fee for short-term rentals.
the way a lot of municipalities work the taxes on rental properties, both short-term and long-term, is you have to turn over your rental receipts to the assessor, and they have a formula that they use to make sure that there is an appropriate tax. It's not just based on the value of the property.
Mhm.
It's based on the income that the property produces, and they get more taxes out of you that way.
Mhm. And I think that, I don't know how you would do it, but maybe a search engine with keywords that would keep the short-term rental lady in the loop of places that might not be keeping up with.
There's a way to find them. I have found a lot of them.
Mhm.
We are working on that. First year was a year of moving forward
Mhm.
and starting with what we had. You can pay for those. But once I talked to Paul, we found out that all the ones we found are ones that in the past they have paid to discover.
Oh, okay.
So, there's a lot of sleuthing you want to discover.
Mhm.
But on our collections and on a lot of things, you'll see it's dropped down significantly.
Yeah.
We've got quite a few ducks in a row now, and like changes on other things we know. But each VRBO pays the state tax just on the rental itself. So when they get money in that exchange, they pay state, county, and us.
Okay.
And then as an entity, at the end of the year, you give your rental schedule to the IRS and you get taxed fee. So these people are already being taxed out. I'm not standing up for them or going against them, just explaining how they get taxed. They also have to pay up a fee, so they have the room accommodation tax fee, so they pay me a fee to then pay me the taxes. And then they pay what used to be the zoning administrator, which is now me, the rental permit fee to then rent that unit, plus the room accommodation taxes that go to the treasurer. So there's the taxation and fees that they're already being paid every year. Now, when they pay that room accommodation tax, we keep 30% of it at town hall. And the 70% goes to the Chamber of Commerce, and that's for tourism and everything else. So that kind of falls into your commercialized.
Mhm.
And when it comes to a commercial tax, the single family rentals or the short-term rentals are all the ones that are outside of the commercial zone technically.
Mhm.
We can have as many as we want within a commercial zone, but we have to limit it outside.
Right.
So that's something you'd have to look into and how you're going to agree to do a fine like or a fee like that, because they're all different categories within themselves too. Some are just a room, but they still have to pay a fee.
how close are you to reaching that threshold? Are you getting close, like outside of commercial?
Yeah, very close. I think we were at 113 out of our 125.
So who gets to say, sorry, you can't? Okay, so you're the one that's gonna be the bad guy.
Yeah. If they don't get, it's first come, first serve outside of the commercial zone.
But keep in mind, Wisconsin is one of the few states that stipulate through Act, I think 73, that you have to allow people to rent 7 days or more. All the other states are 30 days or more. Wisconsin, made it 7 days. So any property on the island can be rented for 7 days or more.
It's the weekend only thing that.
It's a daily short term, so 2 days. and
Right.
That's what we limit on.
Okay, but if someone says, I wanna rent for 10 days, you can't say no. But if someone says, I'm only renting by the weekend, you say, well, wait a minute now.
Well, they still have to get a short term rental permit. So they still have to pay a fee to have the permit.
Okay.
And they still have to report back to us. They still have to pay short term rat taxes. I mean, they still have to pay
Coming
everything.
outside. of-
Correct. Outside of the commercial zone, and if it's a daily, those are the ones we have to keep track of. I mean, we keep track of all of them.
Well, yeah,
But those are the ones that fall within that 125 that the board set. I'm
Yeah.
assuming it was this board
Well, I think
announced town.
I think it's the town board.
Was
that
it?
said yeah.
Okay, this was all before me, so I just know where the.
Yeah. I mean, the only way we can regulate 7 days or more is through permits. That's it.
And then if you book it through VRBO or Airbnb, when you give me your room accommodation tax that gets paid on your behalf, that also shows me what you rented for. So if they were renting for less, we would find out. And that's part of the reason too, to make sure they're not lying, because you paid for a permit, you must abide by said permit. So we do request rental schedules from people, we do request payouts from people to make sure that it's following the line.
Okay.
So
So
we do monitor it.
Oh,
If that's
I-
the way to do it.
I will comment that this discussion was not open for public comment, but since it was so nice and friendly, I just let it go.
It's great.
Oh. Thanks, no.
Is any tax brought in strictly for infrastructure for the town? I know a lot goes to the chamber and town hall, but
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think the 30-70 split is disproportional. I think it should be 70 to the town and 30 to the chamber, but that's state mandated. There's nothing we can do about that.
Before we leave this item, I want to ask Dave, Elon, have you seen any of these follow-up articles since you gave us the original article? And if not, maybe Rich could send you what we all received in his research.
Yeah, I would love to see what Rich has turned over. I have read them. When the short-term rental was under review a couple years ago, I submitted a number of recommendations, including an increased commercial tax to pay for infrastructure, a little more stringent monitoring by tying permit numbers to VRBO listings and all of this. You got to get your arms around monitoring to be able to collect tax. And you have to collect the tax because these are residential hotels in some way. There are homes on the island that are larger than our motel, that have more occupancy than our motel on the island. And they're not being taxed as commercial activities, and they're not contributing to the infrastructure. I will leave my public comment to a later point on the rest of it, but there are a number of things that should be in place in terms of sort of accurately collecting tax and revenue for the infrastructure demands that they place, whether they're services, emergency, sewer, you name it. And the point that Nantucket is interesting is that it's an island, and of course it's a different scale and things are going on there. But the fact that it's got no growth boundary, right? It's got no capability to grow like us is very important. It is a harbinger of what's to come if it's not tightly regulated.
One of the implementations that we did with the zoning rewrite, you do have to have your permit number on your Airbnb or your VRBO site. And
Good.
you know. Katie is implemented a lot with collections, and it's a snowball effect. And that snowball, I have watched it get bigger. And she's been doing a great job.
Yeah. So one more thing. Thanks, Paul, for the floor for a second. So I work with the state of Oregon, Travel Oregon, and are witness to a bunch of things in communities. So communities are rolling back their short-term rental regulations from previous, and a lot of it has to do with just, one of the things you got to understand that if you got a really robust short-term rental market, you will not have long-term rentals. They don't pay out the same way. And that really has a lot to do with affordable housing. So if you want affordable housing and you believe in it and you want it on the island, you got to keep short-term rentals in the equation in terms of balancing those things. It's just the data is too direct and too correlated. You just want to have.
And I completely get it. And that's why we capped it at the number that we capped it at.
Yep.
And I thought that was important.
Yeah, I think the cap was an important feature as well.
Yeah. Now I did see a news flash today, and yes, long and short-term rentals affect housing affordability. And the current federal administration just issued a statement that they want a law passed that investors can't buy single-family dwellings. That came across my news feed today. And that was in an effort, they're going to try to push that through because they understand, that rentals and affordable housing, conflict.
Yeah. 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 I mean,
So, okay, moving on,
Public comment.
future agenda items.
Well,
No, you got.
But
the
2023.
Oh,
Act 73.
yeah, Wisconsin Act 73 impacts on some of the rental properties. Yes, that was a big one. This had to do with the events and the wedding events in the barns. So there's three major points with this, and here's a big one. Obtain a no-sale event venue permit from the Division of Alcoholic Beverages and limit the events where wine and beer are consumed to no more than 6 per calendar year and 1 per month. Okay, that's one way you can do it. Another way would be to obtain a retail alcoholic beverage license from the municipality where your venue is located. Well, that's these events where people need to take out a permit and they're not even taking out a permit here. If they want to serve spirits, they're going to have to get a beverage license from the municipality. Never going to happen. So right off the bat with this, any event that is taking place here, they can serve beer and wine with the proper license, but no spirits.
And you can't sell it. That's the thing.
Right.
You can serve it, but you can't sell it.
Yeah.
And no liquor at all.
So they can't even give the liquor away, the hard mixed drinks?
No.
They can't keep liquor on the premises.
They can't even use that as
They can't
the.
bring it, they
Yeah.
can't have
as a
it.
loophole.
They
No.
can apply for a liquor license, but we don't have any.
You don't have any to give out, you're maxed out anyways. What do you have, 5? Used to be 3, but.
I think we have 4, but we have a couple provisional, like for Tommy's and for the Bell Street Tire.
Yeah, that's how I remember.
So number 3 on here, and the only other way to make it happen is do not serve or allow consumption of alcoholic beverages at events, thereby avoiding the need for a DAB permit or local license. So,
And there are temporary picnic licenses where you can sell beer and wine, but you have to fit into a certain category and you have to be an organization, which a lot of these rental owners are.
well, yeah, they're in, what's going on right,
Yeah,
we allowed events on properties that were 5 acres or more if they took out an event permit. well, I mean, even there's properties that are less than 5 acres and they're having events without a permit because they can't get a permit. And there's a few properties that are more than 5 acres and they're not even taking out a permit. They could be legal if they took out a permit. But now with this Act 73 that just kicked in the first of the year, without the ability for the guests that are having a wedding to even bring the alcoholic beverages to site, you know, it pretty much says these events just aren't gonna happen, but it all falls under the parameters of if it happens, who's gonna enforce it? It's the enforcement that's the toughie.
Yeah, because they can just thumb their nose at you all day long and try
Right,
and stop me.
yeah,
And that's kind of what you're going. Some,
I will say that in the rent ordinance, it does say you need to have someone there for the rent, so. The event should have someone at the premises from them, and it falls on them.
I haven't,
I understand.
I've driven by several. I haven't seen any owners in a tux.
Where, I'm just letting you know that in the ordinance it does state that, so it is at least covered on the fact that you're supposed to have a registered agent for the rental there abiding by.
Right.
So it still does already fall on them if they're not obeying the rules, they're supposed to be there.
Well, there has been a lot of pushback from the people that own barns, wedding barns. So this could get, you know, revamped again. But as it stands, the first of the year, what I read is law. So,
interesting.
yeah. Any comments or questions, Sue Ellen, Jim?
Jim's smiling.
Yes. Just certain, yeah.
Well, if it's on the book, then we should enforce it somehow or take it off and redo it.
Well, this is state
It's a state law.
law. We don't have.
And it was brought up at the public hearing when there were rental people here and we allowed special events. And we said, but this might end in 2 years because of what is being passed right now, on the state level. So we said that out loud to them,
You did.
to the people with the rental.
I watched that quite a few times, and it's on our current rental ordinance from last year, it says that this could change due to this ordinance that is coming into effect.
Yep,
So
so they
it's not
were
so
warned.
fast, they just
They were
didn't know
warned.
what it was going to come down to,
Right.
they knew it was coming.
Yep.
Well, it's perception, you know, I mean, we're just out there taking suckers out of babies that are in strollers.
Speak for yourself. Don't drag us into this.
Well, this is something that went into effect, 6 days ago, almost 7 days ago. And it is something that is now real. And we're trying to figure out how it's going to impact, LaPointe and property owners, on the island. I want to thank Katie and Alex, who, we had conversations today, multiple times, about this very issue. Probably so much that they got tired of seeing me in the hallway, but I want to thank them for taking the time this evening to, number one, to investigate this and what it could potentially mean. Tonight is not the end of this discussion. We're going to continue talking about it and what the path forward is. We recognize that we have property owners on the island that this impacts. And we want to figure out what the best thing to do is to comply, obviously, with state law. But we wanted to, we're looking at this, 6 days after it was implemented. We're already, as a town, taking a look at what this impact is having and trying to figure out the best message for the property owners.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've said this before, and this is just my opinion being on the TPC, but my first role, whenever I look at anything or think about anything, is protecting people's peaceable enjoyment. That's paramount. So.
And it sometimes gets lost in the equation. People sometimes actually build a house in a residential zone because they think it's going to stay a residential zone and they'll have peace and quiet.
Right.
Then, yeah.
And I don't think that's asking too much, but.
Future agenda items. I'd like to see the 205 building code put on the future agenda so we can talk about that. in regards to the question and answer session that we had? Anybody else?
Just the normal stuff we've been kind of tabling for the last few months.
Right.
We'll get to it sooner or later.
And anything else that gets added, because it's always a work in progress. So any extended public comment? Paul?
Yeah, I have one.
Oh,
Okay.
we'll let Dave go first.
Yeah, so I was reading through the opening paragraph of the Town Plan Commission Board. If I may, the Town Plan Commission was established for the purpose of promoting compatible development, aesthetics, stability of property values, and to prevent impairment of depreciation of existing developments. I would offer that not including a seasonal resident is not representative of property owner population, not representative of tax revenue generated, and not representative of total property owned. And I'll leave it at that.
Anything else?
I think that's enough for now.
Okay.
Protect peaceable enjoyment. Remember that Paul, when Craftivity starts having wedding receptions again.
Well, in the zoning I want to comment to David, in the zoning rewrite, 13.3, we've already got it in here, 5 members, with one of the members being a non-resident that owns property here. So that's in the rewrite that we just are almost finished with and working on.
Yeah, Paul, I appreciate that, but I sitting here and listening to this tonight, I'll be left with not a lot of confidence if that's the final draft approved. I mean, I think the board collectively has made it pretty abundantly clear that this group opposes that.
I don't think that's true, Dave. I think
How did I misunderstand that, Jim? Tell me.
I'm not sure. That's why we put it in the rewrite that one of the members of the TPC may be a non-resident. I mean, that's what we wrote, and that's what we're presenting to the TPC.
Yeah, the discussion tonight was 7 versus 5.
But-
Instead of 5 and 1.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was 5 versus, so yeah, so 7 versus 5, but the discussion also was in that there was not including a seasonal resident at all. That was the discussion that was being had tonight.
That was brought up, but it wasn't the main discussion. The main discussion was 5 versus 7.
Yeah,
And even
yeah,
Dave, the motion that Paul made to increase it from 5 to 7 did include 2 members could be non-residents.
yeah.
So I think the TPC is looking at including a non-resident on the board.
Oh, I know the zoning rewrite includes that, Jim. I appreciate that. My listening to the discussion tonight gives me pause.
Okay. Well, we'll see what
Okay.
happens down the road.
right.
And Paul, I have a question I had a terrible time logging in today to get to this meeting. And I see that they already had talked about the zoning rewrite. Is there any kind of procedure that's been set up on how we're going to review that? Are we doing it chapter or section by section or what? I don't know.
Charlie suggested a special meeting just to address the zoning rewrite.
Mhm.
Perhaps in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I think that's the next thing on our agenda anyway, schedule next meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
so, yeah. Paul, you had some public comment.
I just said.
Oh, okay.
Gravity.
Oh, that was it, huh? Okay, all right.
Shorter than usual.
No kidding.
Hey, Paul, just one other comment, if I may, regarding the short-term rentals. I would say the other thing that I've learned is look out for the high occupancy creep in these short-term rentals. They can quickly become, we've made provision in our short-term rental regulation for defining a high occupancy property. I would say that's the other piece that we need to keep track of in the permitting process and the monitoring process of these places going from sleeping 4 people to sleeping 14 people. It's an important provision.
Thank you.
Dave, there's a letter that's gonna go out to all the renters this year, and it mentions high occupancy and its rule, and that they have different guidelines they need to follow. And that's gonna be on the first letter that goes out this year that normally gets sent out. So I just want you to know that is one of the points I noticed as well, and that they're gonna be made aware of that,
Super,
so.
thank you.
Next scheduled meeting. So let's schedule the special meeting that Charlie suggested, which I think
It's
was
just to concentrate on the zoning ordinance rewrite. So
Rewrite.
I don't know, 2 weeks from tonight, Amy, I don't know what the town board has on their schedule, but
The town board meetings are the
Next
13th
week.
and 27th.
so in 2 weeks, it's the
That would be the
21st.
21st. Yeah.
21st?
That work for everyone.
No, we are gonna be
Sure.
earlier.
What time?
4:30, seems to be all right. In case somebody's on the 4 o'clock boat or, I mean, I might be on the 4 o'clock boat, I
Right.
don't know. I'd say no earlier than 4:30. Because we know,
That works for me.
Okay,
Paul,
Will
what's
the
what's the
agenda,
date for that meeting?
21st.
21st.
January 20th.
21st? Okay, thank you.
is the agenda then solely the zoning, right?
For now, unless you and Paul have something else to add, just in case you get,
Yeah, I
something
mean,
pops up.
Okay.
If there's a permit, yeah, something.
Sure,
you know,
okay.
We can
Okay.
throw that on.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking.
And then the next regular TPC meeting will be February 4th at 4:30 PM.
The rental ordinance, you write, and you guys meet on the 21st.
The 21st is just to discuss the
The zoning.
Zoning
ordinance.
for
We might make some headway with the rental prior to that, hopefully. Yeah. So we're adjourned. Thank you.
okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Thank you.
5:30.
Thanks, guys.